The Revelation Explained by F.G. Smith, Chapter 2, Part 3, The Letter to Pergamus. We begin with the Book of Revelation, Chapter 2, verses 12 through 17. And to the angel of the church in Pergamus write, These things saith he which hath the sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. And thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitanes, which thing I hate. Repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. We continue now with the commentary. Pergamus was a city of considerable importance, the ancient metropolis of the province of Mysia, and the residence of the Attilan kings. The description here given of Christ is in accordance with the character of the church addressed, and the work he found necessary to perform in it. They are said to be located where Satan's seat is. Pergamus was a city reputed to be sacred to the gods, and was one of the headquarters of idolatry. There are numerous such cities now among the Hindus and other idolatrous nations. These cities are regarded with peculiar veneration and sanctity, and they contain the most honored temples. In the midst of such surroundings, the influences against Christianity would be very great. The congregation is commended because of its loyalty and steadfastness during a period of persecution in which Antipas was slain. When this persecution occurred, we are not informed, and as to the identity of Antipas, we are also left in uncertainty. Some suppose him to have been the elder of the church. Christ censures them severely, however, for tolerating persons in their midst who held the doctrine of Balaam and the pernicious sentiments of the Nicolaitans, and he threatens to fight against them with the sword of his mouth unless they repent. The doctrine of Balaam is partly explained. He, quote, taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. End quote. When Balak desired Balaam to pronounce a curse against Israel, God by various means miraculously prevented Balaam's doing so. But Balaam craftily instructed Balak to make use of the women of Moab, to seduce the men of Israel, to sacrifice to their idols, and to indulge in the licentious accompaniments to such idolatry. In many places in heathen countries today, vile women are attached to the temples of the gods, and a certain stated feasts licentiousness becomes a sanctioned part of the religious celebration. Balaam's plan was successful. God was displeased with Israel, and because of this fornication there fell in one day 24,000. For a full account, see Numbers chapter 22 through 25, chapter 31, verses 13 through 17. It would appear that the doctrine of Balaam and the doctrine of the Nicolaitans were classed as two different heresies, but the corrupt tenets of the latter were identical with those of the former, and the probable meaning is, quote, "As the Hebrews had Balaamites among them, so likewise you have among you the Nicolaitans, teaching the same pernicious doctrines." End quote. It is also a singular fact that the Hebrew signification of Balaam and the Greek of Nicholas is the same, quote, "subduer of the people." End quote. Thus the doctrine of Balaam would stand as a representation of the principles taught by the Nicolaitans. The letter to this church also closes with an exhortation and a promise. Hidden manna and a white stone in which is inscribed a new name are rewarded the overcomer. The interpretations of this white stone have been various, but the difficulty seems to lie in determining which ancient custom is meant. The most satisfactory to my mind is that contained in the following account by Mr. Blunt. Quote, "In primitive times, when traveling was rendered difficult from want of places of public entertainment, hospitality was exercised by private individuals to a very great extent, of which, indeed, we find frequent traces in all history, and in none more than in the Old Testament. Persons who partook of this hospitality and those who practiced it frequently contracted habits of friendship and regard for each other, and it became a well-established custom among the Greeks and Romans to provide their guests with some particular mark, which was handed down from father to son, and ensured hospitality and kind treatment whenever it was presented. This mark was usually a small stone or pebble, cut in halves, upon each of which the host and guest mutually inscribed their names, and then interchanged with each other. The production of these stones was quite sufficient to ensure friendship for themselves or descendants whenever they traveled again in the same direction. While it is evident that these stones required to be privately kept, and the names written upon them carefully concealed, lest others should obtain the privileges instead of the persons for whom it were to be intended." End quote. So those who have obtained salvation, and are overcomers through the blood, have received the sure pledge of Christ's eternal friendship, which those who know not God cannot receive, and are invited to partake of all of his hospitalities, even to, quote, "eat of the hidden manna," end quote, which is experienced by the truly sanctified.